the Lord placed it on my heart to give my testimony, so you can see, that the Lord can rise anybody up, anybody. And like his word says, he goes, I use the foolish things of the world to confound the mind of the wise. And I'm going to give my testimony of how the Lord saved me. And I wrote it down, and I'm going to read what I wrote, but then I'm also going to, tell more of it and what happened. And because I have my own little testimony packet and everything. So it says, the testimony of the preacher's son from criminal to Christ. And I've gone and preached before, and these are my prison pictures, and I didn't cross out nobody's faces and stuff. That's why I'll do another video, because I don't know if these people want their faces on YouTube, so I'm gonna have to cross out their eyes, and so that you can't see exactly who they are, but I'll leave mine open, and I'll do another video at that time. But the one I wrote and that I send out to people, or whoever I speak with somebody, I'll leave them. It says, from criminal to Christ. I was born the son of a preacher. I was raised in revivals and churches. I was there physically, but every other part of me was in the world. I thought I was missing all the fun. So every chance I got, I took off to play in the world. And this testimony is the consequences I paid for the choices I made. I started running with the wrong crowd at a very young age. I started drinking when I was just a kid. I had my first taste of alcohol at the age of 8. And by 11 years old, I was full-blown alcoholic. Any chance I would get, I would drink. By the time I was in junior high at the age of 13, I was kicked out of school for a bottle of liquor, Jack Daniels to be exact. Alcohol was my life. So after 9th grade, I dropped out of school. I started running around with some old friends and started to sell drugs as a teenager. I was in a heroin house selling drugs to people, watching them shoot up and seeing ladies selling their children's belongings just to buy heroin from me. By the age of 17, I started getting in trouble and going in and out of jail. I tried to change on my own, but without God, it didn't work. As I got in my early 20s, I started selling cocaine. Started off with small amounts, but as sin grows, so did my quantities of cocaine, and I thought I had made it in life. But little did I know I was digging a deeper hole for myself. Eventually, at the age of 27, I was busted for my drug ventures. I was sentenced to TDC, which is Texas Department of Corrections. I was also sentenced to the feds, Federal Bureau of Prisons. I was 27 years old when I was arrested, and I was 34 years old when I was released from federal prison. When I got arrested, I thought I hit rock bottom, but I was wrong. While I was in prison, I joined a Texas prison gang and sank even lower. I got stabbed, was in prison riots, and eventually I got kicked out of Texas and was transferred to the East Coast, Maryland Federal Prison. I was away from my family and friends. Now I know by looking back that the Lord was getting me by myself, because he was going to work a miracle in me. At the age of 32, the Lord grabbed me and changed my life. So after 5 years of fighting and running with prison gangs, I finally got the peace I had been searching for. They told me I was going to finish the remainder of my sentence in Maryland. And when I had given my life to Christ, 6 months later, I was transferred back to a Texas federal prison. For years, my parents would visit me, and there was no change in me. So when I got back to Texas, I called my dad up and said, I am back in Texas. And he said, I am on my way to visit you. I threw my arms around my dad and I said, I am not the same son I was when I left. I am a changed man of God. And I hugged my dad and I cried on his shoulder in the visitation room of that prison. I used to think it was weak to cry, so I never did. Now I'm crying like a baby in a place where they say you never should. But it didn't bother me because the Lord had changed my heart. This is just some of the testimony of the preacher's son, Jamie Botello. You know, I thank God that he changed my life. I didn't deserve it. The life I lived was horrible. I had many chances, but you know, I just kept being hard-headed. I wouldn't listen. And there's more to that testimony, you know. When I was in prison, I joined the prison gang. We got in riots. Here's well, I can't show you the riot itself because there's names in there I need to cross out. And this is me. And after that riot, you know, I got stabbed in the arm, one in the shoulder, 12 staples across the top of the head, 6 down the back, you know. Because when I didn't have the Lord, I didn't have no peace. I was angry and fighting was nothing for me. And I just never had no peace. And what I mean is, when I said I love my new life now, is I was no small-time dope dealer. I would sell keys. I had, you know, cars. I would rent limousines and go to the clubs and spend, you know, over $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It was nothing on a bar tab. We'd take trips. And even doing all that, I had no peace. And I didn't understand what was going on. But I know now. And I thought, well, the more drugs I sell, the more money I make, the happier I'll be. And it never was. It never happened. And the bigger I got, little did I know I was catching eyes of bigger and bigger law enforcement, and to the FBI. I caught the eye of the FBI. So, you know, that'll be another video, but this is my testimony. So when I was in prison, yes, I joined the prison gang. I started running around, and you know, when I said earlier how the Lord works in mysterious ways, is how I got saved. I didn't walk into a church saying, I knew I always needed God, because there would be those moments where I would just have my head down. And I'll give you an example. I always knew I needed God because when I was, I'd be riding in one of the limos, right? There'd be a lot of people, because I had, you know, I would rent limos. One fit 22 people. It had 3 doors to get into the back. And I looked down, and there was, you know, guys, girls, bottles were, you know, as they so-called popping and all that. And something hit me, and I'm at the very back of the limo, and it's mine. So they're all looking at me like if I'm, anyway, so I'm looking down that limo, and something hit me right then and there. And it said, I know there's more to life than this, you know. And we're doing stuff that you see on the videos, on the music videos. And I got so down, and it said, I know there's more to this. Something just hit me. And I didn't understand. And I said, yeah, you know, and I kept drinking and drinking just for the pain and pass out, you know. So then I'll give you another example. I used to have 4 apartments. One held the money, one held the dope, one was a party apartment, and one was with a shared. And each apartment played something different. Well, one night, I just wanted to get away. I just wanted to get away from people, because, you know, when you're in that life, your phone's blowing up, everybody, you got all kinds of friends. They want because they know you're gonna pay for everything. So your phone doesn't stop blowing up. So I went to go hide in one of the apartments that I don't take nobody to. I don't know, sure if I probably went to where the money was at. And in those apartments, nobody knew I wouldn't take them. So I knew I could be by myself, a turtle on my phone. I took a bunch of beer. And I would just sit in that apartment watching TV. I just turned off my phone. And I wouldn't have told you this then, but now that I'm saved, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm just drinking. And it hit me again, that same thing that hit me in the limousine. I'm sitting with a bag full of money. I have a phone that I can call anybody I want. I can go and do whatever I want, but I'm sitting in that apartment, and it hits me again. But this time I start crying. It said, I know there's more to life than this. I know there's more to life than this. And I just sit there and I'm crying and I'm drinking, and that same feeling hit me. I know there's more to life than this. So then, you know, fast forward now, I wouldn't have told anybody this then. I'm in prison now, and I'm running with my prison gang, and like I said earlier, and I'll say on the last video, where the Lord works in mysterious ways. Well, I was one of those guys that if you call me, I'm there. I wasn't the one who'd be while you're fighting, hiding in the back. I'd be on the front. That's why I got so many wounds in that riot I was in a federal prison in Texas, and it was actually at Beaumont. So then I'm there, and when I was, see, the Lord lets you see things and remember things. And so one day I'm walking to the rec yard, and one of my fellow members walks out, and he had come out of where they hold church, and I'm on my way to the rec, and he goes, "Hey man, why don't you go to church with me next Sunday?" I said, "Man, I was cussing. I said, you're stupid. You should have thought about church before you got in here." I was that typical inmate, now you're scared. Now you want to go to church. You should have thought of that before you got in here. And I just kept on walking and went to the rec yard. Well, as I was out there, and this was on a Sunday, so he wanted me to go with him the following Sunday. So come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the Lord let me remember, okay, when I was at Beaumont Federal Prison, a guy had got beat up at church. And church is anywhere. See, I was raised in church, so church was anywhere that you hold together. So there was a group of Christians that would go out to the rec yard and hold service, get in a circle, clap, and I would, they didn't pertain, so I'd go my way on it. Well, another gang said there was a guy that was hiding in the church. In other words, he was somebody else, and this is prison lingo, and they say he was under the Allah. He was hiding. He was hiding in the church, claiming to be, a Christian, but he was actually somebody else. He just didn't want to get kicked off the yard. So two members of that gang went over there and grabbed him out of that circle and beat him up. Well, in prison, if it ain't got nothing to do with you, you just keep on walking by. It wasn't my gang. It was nobody that I was affiliated with, so it ain't none of your business. You just keep going. But in my mind, in my heart, I was raised in church. I said, man, that's kind of messed up that they beat that guy up at church. But hey, it's none of my business. Keep on going. I said, well, he shouldn't have hid. That's the attitude I used to have. Now, that's not my heart no more. That's not my heart. And I'm just thinking of how hard I let my heart get. And knowing the things of God, this is why I warn you, be careful. Be careful, because you can let your heart get so hard, you never know, you might not make it back. Well, anyway, so I get, they beat up that guy at prison, and in that church service. So that's what clicked on me, because like I said, I got kicked out of Texas for that ride and wound up in a prison in a mountain in Maryland, a disciplinary transfer. And so when my friend asked me to go to the church service, I said, no way. But as I'm walking throughout the week, the Lord let me remember when that guy got beat up at that church service. So come Wednesday or Thursday, I go and I tell my friend, hey, I'm going to church with you Sunday. But it wasn't to go to church. I said, look, I'm going to church with you Sunday, so you won't be alone. And if anything pops off, meaning if anybody tries, I'm there. I got your back. So if anything happens, you ain't going to be alone. So in other words, I went to church to go fight. And that's what I'm saying is watch your mind, watch your heart. I was raised in the things of God, and now I'm on my way to church to go fight. You see, this is how far you can let your mind get messed up. Anyway, so I go. So my friend won't be alone, so I go to service. He go, all right, meet you at service. He worked in the chow hall, and so I come out, and they let you go to where you got to go, and then they lock the door. So I go to service, and I'm waiting for him. Well, the 10-minute move, it's called a 10-minute move, federal prison. 10-minute move, 10 moves over, they lock the door. So wherever you're at, you have to stay. Well, my friend, his boss didn't let him get out of work. He had to stay and work, child, you got to make the food. So he didn't make it. Well, I'm there, and I said, I'm here, and I'm locked in. I can't get out. So then the man starts preaching. He starts preaching. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. I can't leave. So as he starts preaching, talking. I don't even know what he says, but it's to where Jesus can change your heart, and it's starting to hit me. So I said, well, God, if this is real, change me. You know, because I had some doubts, because, you know, I was raised in church. I saw some things that the church was doing. I was just like, so, but, and then I had been to NA, AA, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous. I've been to anger classes. I've been to every class that you think. I took it. Anger management, you know, everything. Been to jail, been to city jail, county jail, TDC, Texas prison. I've been to federal prison. I've been to every class that they have to send you through. So everything that I took, none of it worked. So I said, well, Lord, if this is real, change me. And sure enough, little by little, he changed me. But this is where I got to tell you, the Lord works in mysterious ways was how he got me there. The guy never showed up. God got me in that room and saved me that day. And also what I mean is how the Lord works in people differently is I would see people get saved and fall and start crying and hit the ground. So I thought that he didn't save me because none of that happened to me. But when that man said, raise your hand if you need, I did. I said, you know, Lord, as he kept talking, my heart was getting tenderized. And I said, okay, I need you. So I go back to my cell. Since I didn't get that, what I've seen other people do, I thought he didn't save me. So I shut my door and I said, Lord, that man said, if I ask you in, you're going to let me in. I mean, you're going to come in, and I'm asking you. And I didn't feel nothing. I said, okay, Lord, you know what? I'm going to church next Sunday. I'll be there next Sunday because I don't know what I've done. You don't want me. I'm going to go back. And next Sunday, that man preached something else. And he said, step forward. I went and I said, yes, Lord, I want you. So, and then I didn't feel that dramatic. I felt something, though. I knew something had happened, but I wanted what I seen other people start crying and fall down. And so I went back to my cell and I said, Lord, so now I'm 2 weeks in. I said, Lord, I'm going to go back next Sunday. Well, I knew. So I go back out to the rec yard. I'm still running with my gang. I'm still doing, you know, my life. But then I'm starting to see things, but without me noticing, then when I used to see the guys hold Bible studies, it didn't bug me. You know, I would just go about my business. It didn't. But then as I'm noticing, I'm watching them and I'm looking like, man, that looks good. Well, I knew something happened is because we were out on the rec yard. And in prison, I'm going to tell you, if you ain't saved, all you talk about is money, girls, who you're going to see when you get out, what you did while you're out in the world. You know, that's all you talk about. Ain't nothing but foul language, filth, and everything you can think of. So when I was out there, we were talking, I'm hanging out, hey, man. And then I said a cuss word. And when I had said that cuss word, it felt disgusting, like something happened in my mouth. And cussing was like drinking water. You know, I've been in prison, and at this time, I already had been before, but I've already been gone 5 years this time. And I didn't understand what was, so I kept talking like, what? And so we're having it. It was my turn to talk again. And I said, yeah, you know, said a cuss word out. And it was the most, and I didn't understand. I couldn't. So then finally the third time, I went and said another, and it was the most filthiest thing. It gave me a feeling that I never had before. I said, hey, homies, you know what, man, I check y'all later. I'm going to go back to the cell. You know, I went to the cell and I shut the door. And I started running around my cell and, you know, a block so nobody could see me. And I'm flushing the toilet so you can hear I said, you saved me. You saved me. You did come in me that first time that I asked you in my heart, because I'm noticing, and so I knew then that I had got saved because it was so disgusting in my mouth. It felt like I wanted to vomit when I was cussing, which never bothered me before. And then he took my language just almost immediately. of how I would talk, and the filth that would come out, and little by little it just started going away, and I didn't want to cuss no more. It felt like trash. It just felt, and then I understand why. It says your mouth, you bless or you curse with your mouth. In other words, do you understand how important your words are, that when you speak? And at the time I didn't know, but as I read my word, I'm like, oh, okay, Lord, you cleanse my mouth. And then that one verse where it says, I have unclean lips, and he said, touch the coals to your mouth, So anyway, so I knew then that he saved me. And I said, okay, Lord. And I gave my life to Christ. But the Lord works in mysterious ways. And like I said, what the Lord has brought me from and to where I'm at is beautiful. And I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I've had money, I've had cars, I've had power, I've had, one day I walked into this restaurant and this guy knew and I was going to give him, and he jumped all over the table and was ready to give me this. I'd walk into a bar, I'd go to the front line. No. When God saved me, and I'm going back to where I said, I know there's more to life than this. When he saved me and I felt it, I said, this is what I have been searching for. That peace that come in my heart. I don't care about money. I don't care about, Jesus is my heart. He's my love. And that's my testimony. He has me to have another video, but I got to put it together. So that's the testimony of the preacher's son. Of course, as he has allowed me to make videos now. So as he told me to actually make videos, because I'm not, like I said, I don't have no social media. You look at my name, I don't have Facebook. I'm not into this. But when the Lord told me to speak, I was nervous, and like I said, you can check me out. I don't have Twitter, all those things. I don't have not one. But when the Lord told me to move, I must move. So that's the testimony of the preacher's son.